Spatial analysis has always been a large part of the decision-making process, as it allows leadership across all organizations to be informed of the geospatial needs of their mission. With the ongoing pandemic, the need for advanced trend analysis and improved site selection has become increasingly apparent. In this scenario, I have been tasked with finding the best location for COVID testing facilities by the National Guard. As a GIS analyst, this will require me to take raw data and turn it into useful visualization like you're seeing here on the screen. Johns Hopkins University has been at the forefront of curating COVID-19 data worldwide. Their data is freely available online for organizations to utilize as they see fit. Today we're going to show how we can use the ArcGIS platform to augment that data and create applications that can aid in the decision-making process. Here we have cumulative COVID case data for each county in Texas separated out by date, ranging from the beginning of March until the beginning of October. While this data is great for determining which counties have the highest cumulative case numbers, we need to understand where these counties are located in order to understand the size and distribution of these potential hotspots and how they may relate to one another. In ArcGIS Pro, our desktop application, we can begin to understand the location of these counties within the state of Texas. Here I've added in a layer for the 5 largest cities within Texas, so we can see how population may play a role in cumulative case counts. Bringing in the data from the spreadsheet allows us to further understand where these areas of high case concentrations are located and how they potentially relate to one another. Notice how they seem to correspond with major cities. So while this information is great for showing current case numbers, how can I visualize how these cases have changed over time? Utilizing the space-time pattern mining tools, we can take this one step further and aggregate all of these points to quickly visualize and understand how and where these cases originated or developed over time. What you're seeing here are voxels, new to ArcGIS Pro 2.6, which are used to visualize space-time cubes. Each step within these cubes represents a 1-week period of the pandemic. The lower layers are older data, and the top layers are more recent. These voxels allow us to see where these case counts originated and how they have developed as case numbers continue to increase. Using the slice and selection tools on this voxel layer, allow me to slowly move through the 1-week intervals to determine where the first cases began. As I advance the position slider, we can see cases represented in pink begin to pop up almost simultaneously in Dallas and Houston, followed by Austin and San Antonio. As I move forward in time, we see cumulative cases grow and spread rapidly across a large portion of the state. While visualizing coronavirus data this way can be helpful, it's important to note that areas of high cumulative cases that we are seeing are generally located in counties and city centers that have the highest populations, which is where we would expect to see these high case numbers. To combat this issue, I will hand it over to my colleague Max, who will use our web applications to further analyze this data and begin to look at different statistics to find the best site locations. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. As Julia just mentioned, sometimes you need more than a map of the population to get accurate analysis. In this scenario, we have a mission to deploy testing sites to the most needed areas in Texas, and a population map may leave out smaller counties that are being drastically affected by the ongoing pandemic. Here in this Insights project, we've used that same data that we were just looking at to create graphs and maps that analyze this. You can see a time series of the cases over time, along with maps to show case locations, population location, and incidence rate. The first 2 maps of case location and population are extremely similar, as you can tell, but incidence rate, or cases per 100,000 people, has a very different map. You can see that we get some very shocking results for the smaller counties if they've had outbreaks of the virus. And normalizing per the population allows us to find this information. This is a problem that we worked through with the South Carolina National Guard when they noticed that their analytics were too similar to population maps, and normalizing helped give them a better analysis. But both numbers we've looked at are still important. Here we have charts comparing high numbers of both statistics. When looking at the highest case numbers, we see that population has a large factor on cases. Harris County, for example, has the highest population and the highest confirmed case numbers. Yet with incidence rate, we see a completely different list of counties. This chart is a little more erratic, as we can see from the current highest incidence in Maverick. These are relatively small counties that are having major outbreaks of the virus. The drastic spikes for smaller counties explain this erratic pattern. If we try to combine these two statistics to find where there are high cases and high incidence rate, we yet again have a nearly unique list of counties. These top 5 results here are where I will place 5 of my testing sites, as they have been identified as high per population incidence rate and high cumulative case numbers. We also need to be cognizant of where new cases are rising and attack that problem before it becomes worse. Here we've used our emerging hotspot analysis tool, and we can see consecutive hotspots around the population centers. But we also have 2 new hotspots in the suburbs of Austin and San Antonio. We'll add these 2 areas to our testing sites, and now we have our final locations. Now that we do have our sites, we also need to be aware of what's happening in these locations. Dashboards are an extremely popular tool that are fantastic for helping our leaders make the best decisions that they possibly can. Our leadership had 2 additional requirements for us to focus on better mitigation and risk analysis. We need to focus on areas with a more vulnerable population, and we need to use mobile testing sites for locations that may need to evacuate due to natural disaster. This is all of the same data that we've been working with, including our new selected testing sites, as well as military installations in Texas. We can see counties with high case numbers and high incidence rate on the bottom graphs and indicators. We can even click on these graphs and see the county filtered on the map and inside of our indicators. On the list on the left, I've used Arcade to highlight some important demographic and liability information for each of our selected sites. You can see here that each testing site not only has the county's CDC vulnerability information, but also the risk of hurricanes and flooding. In fact, we've just learned that a hurricane is coming up the Gulf Coast, so we can add this hurricane's projected path to the map and see that 3 of our 7 testing sites could be affected, and we would definitely want to use mobile testing sites here. We can quickly select the 3 sites and see all of our statistics update for the 3 counties. Then, judging by the demographic and liability information, we could probably decide that Nueces County should have the highest priority for a mobile testing center, and we could find local military installations for support. We have now properly used this analysis to mitigate the risks posed by these natural disasters. Organizing knowledge and analysis to enhance your organization's capabilities are key to a successful mission. Using smart spatial analysis is necessary more than ever to improve our mission readiness and ensure that the information we give will be accurate and useful. But the amazing thing about all of this analysis is that it started with just a single spreadsheet.